Hi there, my name is Alex Blank. I'm a physical therapist here at Manual Therapy Specialists in Fairfield, Connecticut. Today we're going to be describing mechanical pain drivers, what those are and why they might occur, what they feel like, and what we can do about them within a course of physical therapy. If you're watching this, it's because your physical therapist might thought that this might be interesting or helpful for your plan of care in maybe going a little deeper into the onset of the symptoms that you might be experiencing or answering questions that you might have had within your session. So if we think about the categories of symptom onset, what that means is that our symptoms can come from a number of different places, not just within our body and where they might be presenting specifically, but going more into that question of why they're presenting the way that they are and what brought them on. So here we have 5 categories of what might brought on of possibilities of things that might have brought on symptoms. Today we're focusing more on this mechanical component. So going into the question of what is a driver, I took the categories from the last slide and I broke them down into what could be considered a pie chart. On the left is a visual depiction of what happens when each one of those categories is contributing equally. Rarely does that happen. Usually it's more of a depiction of the graph on the right, in that there is a driver or something that is causing your symptoms to present the way that they are a little bit more than the other categories. So we'll talk about what a mechanical driver feels like in your body, but just know that even if we might have identified one thing that's putting the symptoms the way that they are, there are other elements underneath that might still need to be addressed within a course of care. So if we think about our mechanical system, what I mean by mechanics is how well is our body moving, how well do our joints move, our soft tissues move, and the definition on the left just describes a quality and excursion of movement, so that we can move through all of the positions and motions that we are asking our body to perform, whether it be for activities of daily living or the activities that we choose for recreation. So when we move, efficient movement should feel elastic and light, free and unrestricted. When those movements are compromised because of tightness or tension and the lack of range of motion, that's when we can start to invite in some of these mechanical issues that we are going to talk about a little further within our course of care. So the signs and symptoms of a mechanical driver is really what you would think of when you think of tightness or tension in the system. You might have decreased overall mobility, or sometimes it presents with pain in one specific motion or at a part of a range of motion. The rest of the range of motion might feel okay, but when you get to just this one arc of movement, that's when you feel your symptoms come on. A lot of times, people will feel tight or tense, and there are reasons for that. But when that decreased overall mobility is impacting how well we're moving for our activities, that's when it can be driven from the mechanics of our system. So, this can be in an isolated region, like on the picture on the left, where the woman's, going into what would be considered like a shoulder stretch or sometimes a tricep stretch, in that the range of motion from the muscles or the joint itself isn't allowing her to get all the way across her body because of tightness or tension in the musculoskeletal system. So that's occurring just at the shoulder. Conversely, it can be throughout our body. On the picture on the right, we see fascial planes or tissue planes that are contiguous with one another, and noticing how they're crossing multiple joints, because that's just how the muscles run and interface with one another. And when there's tension or tightness anywhere along that line, it can asymmetrically impact our range of motion. So there are some common misconceptions with the mechanical system. Typically, everyone feels like they should have the freedom of mobility in this picture here, where we should just be able to bend and move in all different directions. I can honestly say that looking at this picture, there's no doubt in my mind that she's very flexible. However, there are areas that she's moving more than others. I'm looking at the area just at the apex of the curve, and there's a little bit of a hinge point there that shows that she might be moving a little bit asymmetrically. So you can get into the weeds with this stuff, but basically we're trying to say that you don't always need to move as freely and as mobile as that, and sometimes it can create some issues as well. In reality, what we need is enough range of motion to do the types of things that we want to do. So whether it's sit on the floor, whether it's take a yoga class but not necessarily achieve all of the postures, but we should be able to move through an arc of movement that allows us to not put too much tension and strain on our joints, such that an unnecessary inflammatory cycle is started, and that we can kind of move without anything blocking us. So when there is compromised movement and we are not able to maybe achieve the positions that we need to get to, or we are getting to those positions, but there is pain within that specific arc of movement. The biggest thing that we can do to help is first screen and diagnose where the movement limitations might be. Diagnosing the fact that yes, your mechanical system is driving your source of symptoms. And then in this instance, manual therapy is really effective. We can help work on the tissues, help work on the joints, using functional mobilizations to help bridge the gap to what your mobility currently is and what's driving some of the unnecessary inflammation in the system or stress on those tissues to where you need to be. Once we reinstate or help reinstate an arc of movement that is more effective, or again closing that gap, it's important that we teach the body how to contract in that new range of motion. So neuromuscular reeducation, which we talk a little bit more about in other videos, talking about the way that the muscles and the nervous system interact with each other and how well the balance of our muscles are able to turn on. Basically, just once we have range of motion, learning how to use it. Finally, we can't always achieve everything we want to in the course of one session or within the session itself. So there's going to be some homework or some reinforcement that we'll ask you to do at home that helps continue to help you find new ranges of motion or reinforce the ranges of motion that we achieved during the session. And the end goal is always, in this case, to feel looser or lighter. When our tissues are moving better, it's amazing how light the body can feel. By addressing mechanical issues or tightness in the body, it helps disperse the amount of stress and force that our external world is putting on our system. So therefore, it reduces the amount of impact in one isolated area, and therefore reduces symptoms as a whole. And it adds to this sense of gradual progression towards reinstating motion and or function. So if you have any follow-up questions, or you are looking to follow up with us, and please ask the therapist that's working with you, whether that's myself, Dave, or Kate. We'd be happy to continue this conversation. Have a great day.